prepare for a new meta coming in. We've given the players a couple of weeks. It's been a little bit of time since the update happened, but we're still learning some things about the new characters and whether these are things that have passed by some of the teams or whether they'll be able to incorporate it into their gameplay is something that will be seen throughout this match. And yeah, I mean, speaking about the new characters, what do you think will be the biggest addition to our roster that we're going to see today?
I say definitely Domina. Domina has been, from what I've seen and been playing in ranked, Domina is very impactful. The high damage burst of the shot in combination with that big barrier and very good ult in the Panopticon, just able to shut down the heals. A good Domina can pretty much take over a lobby, if they're allowed to. But a sleeper pick is probably the silly little jetpack cat.
Yeah, I don't think we can look away from the jetpack cat. Everyone knows there's a lot of fun in the character using the ultimate to grab someone, and as we've seen on Busan and some other maps, maybe just sort of bring him in front of a train or something like that. We'll see if that happens today, but I would agree that probably the most impact is Domina. The Panopticon isn't always the easiest to get value from, but if you land it onto several targets, can be ridiculously rewarding for the team fight as a whole. And considering that we had the OWCS kickoff things that they were doing, their little boot camp out in Korea, we were seeing Domina played a lot. I know it was sort of hardwired into the tournament that Domina should be played, but we were seeing it even in circumstances where she wasn't hardwired in. And especially looking at what's banned in ranked at the moment across ranks, Domina is a very big pick to get out of the meta. Obviously, you've still got the likes of D.Va, the likes of Zarya, which are more than playable still, especially with the Vendetta being able to bubble them in and send them into the backline. But yeah, I'd say Domina is in there. The DPS lines, what are your thoughts on them? Emre seems okay, but he seems like someone that's just a solid kit for people, and I don't think we've quite harnessed Anran yet, to my knowledge, but what's your take on them?
I would say Emre is she's pretty average. I think he's definitely one good buff away from maybe breaking into the meta, but he doesn't necessarily do anything better than the other hit scans in the meta right now. Sojourn with the better burst potential and just the better range in general. He's got, obviously, you can see his massive fall off, which they tried to compensate with the buff earlier. It's a lot better now, but still probably not as good. And Anran, I think people do underrate Anran. She's a very complex character to play, so I think a lot of people haven't got the full grasp of her at the moment, but probably just, again, one or two little buffs away from breaking into the meta. But I think I can see a lot of potential in Anran.
Yeah, I can absolutely see Anran breaking into the meta maybe later on into the season when people have had a bit more time on her. But for now, not looking into the future, looking into the here and now, we have our first map pick of this first to two series. It's coming from Warwick, and we are heading to King's Row. Our first maps being the hybrid map type, and then whoever loses this map can pick anything out of our entire pool that isn't hybrid. But for now, we're heading to King's Row. What are we expecting to see here, really, Matt?
Probably a lot of brawl, King's Row, very much we pick this, we run Rhine, we run down people, but maybe not necessarily be Rhine, but a very brawl-heavy map. Although you can get a little bit creative with some dive strats, a little bit holding the angles, and there. And it's going to be a Zarya ban for, I think that's
I
supposed to be
believe
Warwick
those are
Angels.
flipped. So
Yeah,
this is Warwick banning Zarya and Abercrazy banning Venture. But overall, this seems like something that we could have expected.
Yeah, the very standard bans. Abercrazy obviously been picking up with that Zarya Vendetta comp, so Warwick thinking we're just going to get rid of the Zarya, and then Abercrazy striking right back. Andreas obviously pretty good on the Venture, so if we can't play the Zarya, you can't play your Venture. So maybe not a lot of comfort in this first map, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we could be a little bit on edge. Obviously, we've seen D.Va still absolutely monstrous in this meta, but taking out the Zarya, could that relinquish the Domina into action here?
It could, but I've also been thinking Abercrazy obviously been doing some stuff with the Ryan quite recently, and Ryan does have a pretty good matchup into the Domina, it has to be said. She can't poke him out too much, she can't walk up with the shield. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Warwick do go for that Domina, can Abercrazy go for their Ryan comp, and can they break it down?
These backlines as well, potential to see probably just a Kiri Lucio, but we'll see if we do get some others sprinkled in here and there. I know I saw some Ana earlier, but I mean, questionable as to whether we'll see it. But we're going to find out soon, as we're already here in the new form of London in Overwatch. And I'm glad to be back to King's Row, a staple map of just pretty much any Overwatch esports community.
A tried and true hybrid map. You find hybrid, you usually pick King's Row, so yeah. I'm hoping maybe for a little bit of jetpack shenanigans on the first point, drag your team up to the high ground, but it is going to be a domino look, I think, out of that Warwick Angels.
Yep, no rest for us, as the Crazy seems to have already started with Abercrazy Raccoon, but they will be on the attack side, attacking into the Domina. Oh, Fire. I mean, I'd love to see it.
I have seen it.
Yeah, observers are hungry as always. I'm very much looking at. Oh,
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm quite scared of it.
No! What is this? What is this? The flying bastion enters the fray. The Apache attack helicopter is already in, and look at how much pressure it's already able to use. Tombox takes down Unknown, so it's not for nothing. But you can see how much pressure they've applied to the point. Xnelia's had to back up immediately, and they've just dropped the Bastion on the high ground. Armada can't really do too much, but we know that this Wrecking Ball will be able to sustain himself. He looks into the backline, and Rizwood has to use the cleanse to get away properly. Unknown back in the fight as well, as a 1-for-1 trade onto the Bastion is going to help out. And the Mercy gets the kill. Like, I thought I'd seen everything. I thought, oh, the end of the chaos will be the new heroes. No, we're getting Mercies with melee kills now.
I mean, we said crazy. I think that first fight was everything we hoped for, to be honest. The jetpack Mercy Bastion flying into the air. Getting Val, I think they have to switch now, but the Mercy Jetpack Cat lifts the Bastion into the air. T90 rains down destruction from above. They lose their first engage, but they take a lot of space away from Warwick and then just use that to put them in a box, clean up the fight. And they're still sticking with it. Armada over to the Winston, but the core of the comp is still intact.
Yeah, Fire's looking to act forward, but you've still got to be careful of Andreas, even not on the favoured venture. And it seems like Fire wasn't too careful of that, trying to dive in and not being able to get away. But this Mercy boosted Bastion is still on the corner, has the ultimate here as well, and decides to go for it early. That Domina not able to get away, and Fire comes back into the fray as well with a vengeance, takes down Andreas, and now Rizwood going down as well. It looks like it's following on from the first fight for Abercrazy Raccoon. Yes, they had to back up a bit when Fire went down, but the fire's ablaze now, and Warwick have to lick their wounds and head back.
Yep, the Fire maybe a little bit tactical play, distraction to let the Bastion go on the flank with the Mercy damage boost, and Abercrazy setting up here for a forward play, maybe with that catnap and the edge on the corner. Oh, and Unknown goes down to Andreas. Never mind.
Yeah, T90 is so powerful with that Mercy pocket, though. It's disgusting seeing that turret form burst through them. Ensum gets the res onto Unknown as well, but they do lose the Bastion for it. Trade out here with the copy, and Fire's just about able to get round the corner. Does have the ultimate online, but the question is how much can you do with that catnap at the moment? Ensum again! The Battle Mercy is here. What is going on? Rizwood has to be careful here as well. Has to use the TP to get away from Unknown, but it's out of the frying pan into the fire. Sneaky Squid goes down instead. And now looking to get the barrage into the tight angle onto the Domino, and it's going to take full effect. Ensum goes down, but that's the only one to be lost. As now we head into the underworld, and Abercrazy Raccoon look to be on fire at the moment.
Yeah, a thing to note about that. When the Valkyries popped, there was no beam used. It was only Blaster from what I could see, and yet, I don't want to say a
No,
clean
please,
fight from
please don't do
Abercrazy.
it.
Oh, the back in the backline.
he's bringing T90E to the higher ground, but Xnelio finds Unknown in the meantime. That catnap can be used now to get a kill off into the depths of the underworld, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Getting back your Pharah, but you lose your Bastion in return. The Primal now pop for Armada as they look to sweep pressure in again. Catnap has come through. Question is, will it be able to find too much value? I don't see a kill coming up on the feed. The only one that's there is Xnelio finally being able to take down Armada through the Primal. Fire sent back packing as well. Not too much to do here, and some stable footing here for Warwick as they look to clean up this fight.
Yeah, I mean, beat can't really sustain through that Abercrazy. The Mercy Jetpack Cat is not the greatest for healing, but a good block on the Panopticon from the Bubble of Armada, who has now moved over to the Roadhog. And
Are we playing for the bit?
I think we're playing for the bit. They might know they're on stream, they might know they're being casted by me, and I think they might be playing for the bit.
The call of the void is strong with these ones, and Fire has to be careful to not go down to that rail shot of Sneaky Squid. Fang here in the backline has to grab that health pack, but in the meantime it's a 1-for-1 trade. You lose Fire, but you take down Xnelio all the same. The tank presence isn't there, but it doesn't matter. Sneaky Squid's hitting the right clicks with the overclock. Has to back up for now though. A good job to maintain the pressure without losing anyone else to it. Armada coming back in now, but the Hog is there on the other side. The copy now runs out, and Fire looking again for someone to grab with this catnapping. Xnelio almost built up to the Panopticon once again. Should be easy, pretty easy for Armada to break through, but how much will it stop them in the meantime? Hits a couple, but it's into the turret form and potentially into the pit as well. No saving that. That's our first catnapping kill in USS history, and we love to see it. The cat goes crazy for Abercrazy Raccoon, and I mean, you got to touch the point now. You got to get out of your spawn. It's whether you can or not. That's playing so close to the spawn doors here. Switch to Sigma to try and get forward. Andreas tries to find it, but the barrage goes huge. Unknown finds two. Andreas puts him to bed. And with the beat, they're still in this one. They have to be careful now. T90E goes down as well. The whole Hog used. Fire finds Armada. Fire finds Andreas, sorry. And some reses that Bastion. Rizwood has nothing else that he can do. Sneaky Squid gets off the point for a moment, but none of it would have helped. And my word, I didn't think we'd see a catnapping so soon as the first half of the first map.
I mean, we truly are in silly season. A big Panopticon landed from Nelio, and well, you can't get value from your Panopticon if you're not on the map. A lovely drag off there from Fire, and then they just have the ult advantage to roll the cart in.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. It's ridiculous. But, I mean, it worked. You got all 3 points with almost 2 minutes left on King's Row. It's not unheard of, but it's a very powerful state to be in. And the question for Warwick is, are you going to be able to adapt to this and be able to stake a claim on your own attack? Or is it going to be an early map loss for them? And Abercrazy Raccoon looking to cement their spot as one of these top 4 challengers by taking down the former Kings.
I mean, we'll see what they can do. You can, again, never count Warwick out, but again, Abercrazy now moving over to the Emre. I've never seen T9E play Emre, so I'm going to be I'm quite concerned, again, that we're getting a little too silly. A little overconfident, maybe a little, I'm going to play first time Emre, and I think Warwick should be able to punish this.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the points in pocket to be able to play around with this a little bit, but you don't want them getting too overconfident as the play towards statue comes in from Warwick, looking to gain some momentum back into this one. And Rizwood early, making sure that Nilo isn't going down too low. Armada with the Sigma Mirror is just going to stay on point, trying to anchor there now as Unknown gets a little bit too big for his boots and sent packing immediately. And now the quest to kill Ensum has been answered by Andreas. Not quite getting him yet, but I don't think it's going to be too long as the stickies and the beam land. And it's a 1-for-1 trade, but You can't just offer a challenge and then let it happen that easily, T90.
I mean, somehow 3v3 here. Oh, now 2v3. Abercrazy might have to give this one up, but there is no tank on either side. Armada coming back fast on the Reinhardt. They might have a chance to hold this one.
Yeah, I think they should be able to get back in and at least contest this. Only one tick through so far, so they're able to get back onto the point, but already going down so low, and you don't have the sustain on this comp to keep your Reinhardt up, and now it looks like they're just going to have to back away and play this corner, and potentially they've already lost control of that archway.
I think it might be time to change something up. We're getting a little too silly, and we have unfortunately been punished for it. A lovely cat there from Warwick, nothing used either, so building up to an ult bank here. Unknown moving over to do Vendetta now. With the Zarya a little less impactful, but again, still a very overpowered hero, so we can see what they get done. And then Sam finally off the Mercy after dying. Quest completed, moving on to the Kiriko.
Yeah, T90 stuck with the M-Ray though, and Fire still sat on the Jetpack Cat, so we'll see what they're able to do here. Unknown looking to take the high ground, but bursted down so quickly. But I believe Andrea, Sneaky Squid looking to build this overclock as well, as they've taken so much space. The cart hasn't progressed too far, and now the M-Ray, that override protocol looking to get them some space back, fighting back in, but it's not found any kills as they're able to get back to the corner. Unknown though, playing the mop and bucket, sweeping up where T90 couldn't finish anyone off. It's a 1-for-1 trade though, as the Vendetta's not able to get out, but they're pushing Xnelio back. Armada? Bit too much on there. Yeah, they push him back to the archway, but it doesn't matter if you don't stay alive to be able to use that space. And T90 is gonna fall foul to Sneaky Squid and Xnelio as well. Looks like they're heading to third pretty quickly here.
Trying to take a little too much space there as Unknown gets staggered out. I don't think this recontest is going to be possible, and we're going to roll it into third point. Yeah. Only the Flux used 4 ults in the bank, only building up to 2 on the side of Abercrazy, 3 if you can build a fast Kitsune, but might just be a snowball here for Warwick.
The top right, I'm glad, is starting to look a little bit more normal, but with the ult bank that Warwick have built up, Abercrazy have to be careful here. They don't want to get too focused in, and that's a big accretion back onto Armada. Stays alive on 1 HP, and Fire decides, you know what, Rizwood, you're going down into the depths. Unknown finds one as well, and that is going to send Warwick packing for this team fight. Again, you've got to be careful if you're Armada not to push way too far. Almost touching the spawn doors there, but able to get back to the rest of the team.
Yeah, another good can up there from Fire, using the momentum to sort of throw the Kiriko down instead of releasing them so they can TP away. And a big shatter hopefully here for Armada, but Warwick have got tools to answer, the beat and then the copy, and Great Flux coming up soon.
Yeah, if you're Tombox, you have to try and evade this. Andreas has already built 50% to that Sundering Blade on that copy ult. The rock block, sorry, by Armada. But Andreas already has a Sundering Blade, but it doesn't matter if you're going to get hit by that Shatter. They do manage to survive it without the beat. Xnelio getting to eventually. Unknown's thrown in the Sundering Blade of his own, but doesn't find anything. And now we're heading towards 3 minutes left with just a corner to go.
I mean, yeah, a big flux there, and Abercrazy throwing a lot of ultimates into a losing fight. Fire getting staggered out with the Catnap, one of the only ults they have. This could just be a full cat.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful here. Armada clearly has to touch soon, but you don't want to lose Ensum in the meantime either. An Unknown going down solo, forced to use the block. It doesn't save Ensum though, goes down to that Sojourn Grenade, and Fire looking to use the Catnap, but can't on 1 HP. Both supports down here for Abercrazy Raccoon, still getting a bit too crazy. And Warwick are going to be absolutely lapping it up after it looked like all the momentum was there for Abercrazy. Warwick's right back in their faces, and yeah, I think there's some questions to be answered about whether we're getting a bit too silly.
I did say at the start, Warwick can punish this silliness, and they definitely did. I mean, winning that first fight quite easily, not using any ults, and just when Abercrazy were constantly switching, Warwick were just snowballing the economy, getting a lovely ult cycle going, and Abercrazy couldn't do much about it. They tried throwing a lot of ults out, but a lot of them were losing fights, and it just didn't find anything.
This looks more standard. Thank you. I'm
We
so
finally
glad that I don't
decided,
see
wait,
a
we
cat
can lose
top
this
right on
map.
the screen.
Finally deciding, we might lose this. Maybe we should play a normal composition, and moving on to a pretty standard Ryan competition. Never mind,
no.
fires on Mizuki.
Has Fire just sort of been told you have to play one of the new characters every single map? You cannot walk out of spawn on something that isn't a cat or Mitsuki, but we'll see how this one goes. Mitsuki does get a lot of value in a comp like this, though.
And yeah, able to take those aggressive angles with the Kikagashi return, I think it's called, and able to just get a lot of poke and distract from the Rhine. But it'll be very interesting to see what happens here. The Sigma from the side of Warwick again worked. Why not just no reason to switch up, I don't think.
Yeah, Armada charges in towards the statue, just trying to be careful right now, doesn't want to lose too much of the shield, decides to head over to the stairs, trying to take some high ground against this team, and it's going to back them up around Hotel. Can't do too much right now, especially not with T90 going down to Sneaky Squid immediately, and then some following suit thereafter. Armada's kind of stuck here. Will it just be a charge back into spawn? Yes, it will, and a good start of their defense from Warwick.
And yeah, T9E just getting caught on the right high ground there. I think Sneaky Squid hiding in the corner, and T9E just walked right into the trap and fire off the Mizuki back over to the Lucio, and normality has been restored.
Thank you. There we go. But Armada now looking to push around the outside of Hotel, looking to take some presence on the point, and they've forced a couple back here into this corner. Unknown's doing a lot of work on the Tracer to force this backline a bit further than they potentially want to be. Now starting to capture the point. Will they get a tick here? Yes, they're allowed one. But will it be more than that? Surely you got to get on the point soon. Someone's got to touch this, but Armada going down low is the thing that's going to force them off. It's a good job too, because it's getting a bit too close for comfort at the moment. No one going down on either side. This is still a 5v5, a couple down low, and T90 is the first to find blood. Finds one, but immediately traded by Tombox. A Flux finds nothing, and now Armada's trying to walk on this Sigma. Not really much that you can do to stop that damage coming in, and forced back behind the archway. Fire comes in with that sound wave, and now with Unknown fire, finishing off Ex Nilo. They have the point under their control, but the Streets phase is going to be a full overtime push.
I mean, lovely fight there from Abercrazy. T9E fighting 3 on the cast, and no ultimates used. 5 on the side of Abercrazy, and a lovely stagger onto Sneaky Squid, and a lot of space here for Abercrazy.
Yeah, they've taken most of this Streets phase for themselves. Unknown's going to sit here in the subway station, looking for a pulse onto anyone that comes by. Now decides to engage, looking for Rizwood here. Has forced the cleanse, but nothing else so far. Instead, it's Andreas going for the second cleanse almost. Switching over to the Kiriko, and Fire's been found with the beat still in the pocket. The Kitsune Rush has been used, and a nice slam onto Andreas, and the kill there onto Ex Nilo as well. So no tank presence for the cart, and that means that Fire's going to be able to come back into this one. They're still pushing through here, and the big slam is going to reward them greatly.
Yeah, a lovely shot there from It's Unknown, and a Kitsune Rush to go on top, and rolling through the Streets phase here, but with only beaten High Noon left, and Warwick Angel's coming back with that Kitsune Rush and the Bob. So it's going to have to be a pretty picture-perfect beat to try and defend from all this, but High Noon usually from T9E just to try and hold the space, try and stall as much time as they can.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that this has come out early just to maintain some space. Decides not to actually click the button. Potentially could at least be used to break the shield, but T90 finds Rizwood trying to cast that Kitsune Rush. It does get out, but not much more to be gained there. Sneaky Squid does get the trade with the Bob in, takes down Fire as well, and Robert sort of being the best character here at the moment for Warwick Angels. Nice little headshot there from Sneaky Squid, finished off by Andreas, and eventually it comes to an end, but that was a capture of the Streets phase. So 5 on the board for Abercrazy Raccoon. Warwick, you've got almost 3 minutes. How are you going to do?
Oh, they've got a lot more time, but I love what Abercrazy do there. They recognize they're at the ult disadvantage. They went fast with the beat, tried to go early, just get anything done. They kill Riz Wizard, and that forces Warwick and Angels just to back up just enough so they could roll the cart in before they could come back with their beat and bob. A lovely play there, and well, Warwick have got quite a big task on their hands. It's not easy to cap Street Phase in overtime, but we'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, Andreas has been finding a little bit on this Echo. I do feel like the Venture being banned is really handicapping them at the moment, but I think Abercrazy Raccoon, when they're playing something that is actually a feasible team comp, look fairly decent. And what I see in the top right of the screen now is something that looks like a viable team comp. So it might be quite difficult for them to get through. Andreas looking for the early pick with the Widowmaker. But we'll see what else they can do. Looks solid on both sides as we look forwards to what should be the final piece of action here.
Yeah, I mean, Andres picking on the Widow for now, but no, decides to go back over to the Echo, and it's gonna have to be some sort of flank, maybe? Because with the Ryan sitting here in main, you can't exactly walk through. You had to put pressure on the angles, and, well, Andres has tried that, and Andres has been found by Unknown, but traded out by Sneaky Squid.
Yeah, it was a good fire strike there from Armada, making sure that Andreas was down low already, and then just a good finish off by Unknown, who should be back pretty quickly. Sneaky Squid not able to get away either, and the charge in to try and find this Kiriko does get the TP, but Tombox goes down as well, and that's a good stagger to make sure that Unknown can get back into this fight.
I mean, Armada getting out there. Maybe again a little too overzealous, but he survived this time, and yeah, Abercrazy should be back to a full 5, Warwick back to a full 5. Good attack there from Abercrazy. They decided to just saw the map and said, we're going to go on your backline, and Warwick trying to take the top right high ground to you. So what Abercrazy have to do now.
Yep, just playing around the statue are the two tanks, but the main battle here is on the high ground and nothing doing at the moment. T90 is already almost built up towards that high noon on the board a lot quicker than anything else and making use of it early, trying to build this space back. Unknown and Andreas dueling at the bottom of the point, but there we see it all floods blue, and that is for Abercrazy Raccoon again as they hold on, and then it's now down to a minute for Warwick Angels.
Yeah, and it's another clean fight. They used the high noon to split Andreas off in the side room and keep all the space, and Unknown's able to just pick him off. Shatter online here, Window, and Pulse Bomb for the side of Abercrazy. Warwick just don't have anything yet, with only a minute. Abercrazy could look to go for maybe a Window Fire Strike here and then save ult, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah, they're not incredibly close to anything here either. Ex-Nihilo is the closest with that Gravitic Flux, but you got to be careful not to lose it. Initially playing up on the statue. The Fire Strike takes down Andreas to start off this one, and that's a very big pick in this next team fight. 30 seconds left, the Gravitic Flux lands, but so do the shots onto Ex-Nihilo, but they lose too. Sorry, actually, that is still a bug. Blizzard, please fix your game. But 20 seconds left. Warwick are going to have to build back into this one quickly. They've got the beat pretty much online, but they're going to have to wait for the Kitsune Rush and the Overclock as well. The copy not quite as near, and this shatter could be absolutely everything as they try and cross towards the point. Someone's going to have to touch. Someone's going to have to break ranks. Is it going to be Andreas trying to get round the corner? It is, but now it lines up for the shatter. They're just trying to build the pressure here as they switch back through Hotel. Tries to land it, doesn't find anything. That's big that it doesn't find anything, but T90E is able to get one with the high noon, and Ensam gets up as well. T90E goes down, but still, it feels like it's in the favor of Abercrazy Raccoon as they look to hold onto this first objective. Can't even touch back onto it, and after a bit of madness, they straighten things up, and Abercrazy Raccoon really staking their claim as one of the high-ranking teams coming into the rest of this tournament.
Yeah, again, a lovely fight there from Abercrazy. They isolate Andreas and pick him off 98% to that duplicate, which could have won them the fight. The beat out a little late, but Shatter, yeah. And then, yeah, the Shatter finds nothing. But again, it's enough. It's a distraction. Enough to make the space for the high noon to find another pick. And, well, they couldn't do anything more.
Yep. I mean, we liked the crazy to start off with. We got a bit too crazy, then we reined it in. And I think that shows how good Abercrazy Raccoon can be, even when that Zarya that they've been playing around a lot is banned off of the table. They can still switch to something like the Reinhardt if they want to. And again, you can see how dominant they were going forwards. They were the ones that were making the aggressive plays quite a lot of the time. Even when they sort of had to back up against the wall of ults that they were facing in that final fight, they made the reads correctly. They switched back round to Hotel. And, I mean, the Shatter didn't find anything, but they were able to make the plays off of it. T90E finding the high noon kill, and then they go forwards and they make sure that the rest of the game is theirs to be won. But Warwick Angels, you still have the ability to go back in and make use of the situation that you now have the choice of any map in our pool. And Matterz, if you're them, where do you think you go?
Gibraltar. This Abercrazy iteration of a team, not exactly known for their dive composition, not exactly their strength. They're very much a more brawly team, so some sort of escort map of Gibraltar, maybe a Rialto. I don't know if that's in the pool off the top of my head, but that's what type of tandem map I would go for. And bans wise, I'd go for the Vendetta personally. Again, as I said before, the Zarya Vendetta, known for Abercrazy. They've already banned the Zarya. They can keep it away for another map with the Vendetta ban, but it's a map they have to win.
Well, I believe Abercrazy Raccoon might have first hero ban as its Warwick's map ban, but I'm not 100% confident in that. But we'll see what is decided to be banned out. But I believe we do have our map pick in, so just a second we will be telling you where we will be going next in this first to three of these two established Div 1 teams. And I mean, I just hope that Abercrazy Raccoon seems a little bit more normal, knowing that, I mean, that it's crazy is in their name, but we don't want to get too insane here.
Unfortunately, if I do know them, and they are up a map, they might get extremely silly here, from what I've known, but we will have to see. And I think it's going to be a Suravasa pick here out of Warwick. And I find that quite interesting. I feel like Abercrazy were better on the brawl there, so I'll have to see what Warwick are cooking here.
Yeah, Suravasa does lend itself to multiple different team comps depending on how you want to play it. Obviously, we've seen a lot of ball situated around Suravasa, but I'm not sure that's what they want to play around. The question is, what is also going to be banned for these teams? And I've got a bit of a head start on this one, and one of them I think is going to be very interesting, especially the fact that we saw Ensum switch over to the Baptiste at the end of that last map, and we're going to see what these bans are now in just a second. So Warwick banned the Cassidy, taking away T90E's pick that got the high noon that ended up with them winning that first map, but Kiriko is gone from Abercrazy Raccoon, and they know that they can play this Baptiste style if they want to as well.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't sure on the Cassidy ban at first, but I then remembered that Andreas' Venture is unbanned, so that's a good ban on Venture. But it does leave the Zarya Vendetta open, which does concern me slightly. And Abercrazy, obviously Ensam, very good on Baptiste, they're very familiar with this. They're deciding, yep, just ban the Kiriko, we don't need it.
Yeah, this could potentially be a battle to take down the opposing backline first, and then a race back to the rest of the team to try and sweep up whatever's left in the wreckage. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, we are expecting that Zarya Vendetta from Abercrazy Raccoon and the Warwick Angels. You're looking at Andreas on that venture. Whether it's going to be able to find quite as much, we're not sure. But it did feel like he was a little bit hampered at times on the Echo on King's Row.
Another look Abercrazy could bring out, is that Ryan? Andreas, I mean, the Venture does play a lot better into the Baptiste compared to the Kiriko, which could be quite interesting to see, but the Baptiste also works very well in the Ryan comp, from what we've seen. And Abercrazy are quite good at the Ryan comp. So there could be a lot of looks out here for Abercrazy, and I'm not sure how many looks Warwick have. So I'm going to be very interested to see how this goes down.
Yeah, it does feel like they hold a few cards here as to what they want to play. And I mean, if you really want to get away from a venture, you can just go something like the cat. I'm not saying to fire to bring it back, because my word, sometimes it looked a little strange, but it is something that you can go if you really don't want to get dived by that venture. You can just play way out of the space, and then eventually when that venture's been chunked down, you can go in for the kill, especially with the claws out perk. But again, it remains to be seen what they decide to do as we head over to India and Suravasa, and we should be bringing it to you fairly soon. In fact, there we go. There's the blue skies of India as we look around this map, and I'm very interested to see what these two teams come out on.
I think it could get quite silly. Abercrazy, from what I've played with them, obviously, they do tend to get quite silly when they're a map up. Maybe a little bit complacent, even sometimes. So we could be in for a bit of a madness.
Well, we did see some of that complacency on King's Row on their defensive side. It felt like they didn't get a foothold, partially because of the overconfidence that they might have had from map 1. But I think I see a Reinhardt just about through the walls of the temples here. And yes, there is the Reinhardt, the Baptiste that we expected. I'd be surprised to see it with the... Yeah, there we go. I wasn't expecting the Sombra, but here we go. Out of spawn, looking towards the second map of our first to 2 series. It's match point for Abercrazy Raccoon. Or will Warwick Angels be able to bring this back? And the Juno Brig out from Warwick as they look to press forwards with a Ramatra comp. Obviously, this does favor well into the Reinhardt, but how well is it going to favor is the question on everyone's lips. Sneaky Squid as well, going down fairly early in this fight. They've been able to build the high ground as Armada has to be a little bit careful. Having to back up here to start off with. Going to get the heals in from Ensum, but Unknown as well. Caught in the backlines a little bit. T90 trying to find those hits into the backline, and that's what the Baptiste can bring you. A little bit of damage pressure alongside the burst healing, and they're trying to find Andreas as well here. Not able to get away. Fire hunts him down. And now it's all stations go. They do have to wait a little bit to make sure that Armada can get back healed up. And Unknown's gone down in the meantime. So it's still point control for the Angels. And now it's pressure onto Ensum. They've left the Baptiste behind. You can't forget about your supports. T90 cleans up though. And eventually it is going to be a fight win for Abercrazy Raccoon.
I mean, it was a fight win for Abercrazy Raccoon, but really was it? They've got a few staggers out, and Warwick got 50% on the point and are looking to come back in fast here. I think it's just Unknown and Fire on the point at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know if Fire's going to go back and taxi potentially. There is a little bit of a taxi there, and Unknown just looking to cause some mischief in the meantime. Has Pulse pretty much online, and Shatter's already there for Armada. So a couple of tools to work with as they face even, and now it's slightly in the control of Abercrazy Raccoon as it flips back over to Warwick Angels, but it's all a trap! The Shatter comes in immediately, and T90 dispatches of Exnelio and Andreas in one fell swoop. Come on, take the point. Yeah, we'll give you 20%, we'll take the rest as they look to close out this first flashpoint here.
Yeah, again, well played from Abercrazy there. They baited in Exnelio there, solo Shatter onto him, played the trap, shielded him off from the healing, and yeah, fight win. And an early window IQ from Abercrazy for the Fire Strike and the OC. The OC goes wide and Fire Strike does it, but Armada, thinking he can get down by the window, charges in, and Warwick just flipped the map, but Exnelio goes down early.
Yeah, a lot of pressure onto the tank of Warwick. Perhaps not with the rest of the team quite as much as he thought he was. Unknown finding 2 in this fight, and now, even if you win out this one, you've lost the point. Point goes to Abercrazy Raccoon, and it did feel like Exnelio was a little bit cut off from the rest of the team.
I mean, yeah, they flip the map, and Exnelio just gets a little overzealous, tries to bring the fight to Abercrazy, not waiting out the ultimates, and unfortunately just gets punished for it. But 5 ults on the side of Warwick, and none on the side of Abercrazy except the beat. So it's going to be a fight of how many ults can you pressure out of Warwick here?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of pressure onto Fire to maybe try and extend the amount of ults that are put in. The Annihilation can be countered with the beat pretty quickly. But saying that, this already put in, and Fire can't even press Q before the fight ends. But T90 finds Andreas in the meantime. It's a nice trade. And now the Annihilations run out. And look at the pressure that they're able to come back in with. Even without the speed control of the Lucio, they're able to push forwards. And in a fight that seemingly was unlosable considering the amount of ults that they had, they've been forced back here. Warwick losing their tank, and now the pulse bomb comes in as well. Goes a bit wide from Unknown, but they're pushing the pressure onto Warwick once again.
Oh, yeah, you're very happy there if you ever take. You win the fight and you get 2 ultimates out. Overclock here from Sneaky Squid, not finding anything. Fire still holding onto that beat, decides to go for it now. And in come Abercrazy. Ray used.
Yeah, and Rally, both support ults used to try and get a stronghold back here. Andreas finds Fire, but this happened in the last fight, and Ensum combining with Armada. That Fire Strike absolutely decimating the health bar of Tombox, and still they're in this one. The trades are here. Ex Nilo finds one, Andreas finds another, puts in that pressure onto the side of Abercrazy Raccoon, and eventually they are going to fold, but not before getting to about 80% on this one. Even more extended with Unknown here.
And yeah, it's just Unknown stalling at this point in the 1v1. They're coming back now. He's managed to stall it enough. They can go here with the Shatter and the OC. TNND pops earlier. Amada walks forward.
Yeah, there's no shield as well to block this Shatter now, so they're going to have to hope that Armada misses, or they can chunk him down before it ends. Or before they get to it, sorry. Unknown finds one with a pulse though onto Tombox, who's decided to switch over. That support comp changing a little bit, and Armada with the Shatter brings it straight down the hammer onto Ex Nilo, flattening him down into the ground, pile driving it in, and the second point goes the way of Abercrazy Raccoon as well, as they look to go towards the third and final point, game point and series point for them here.
I mean, Abercrazy, they knew what they had to do there. They've got all the ults out of Andreas. They made the fight as scrappy as possible and just ended up as a 1v1. Unknown Ex Nilo on the point, and they just stalled it as long as they could. And Ex Nilo, you can't do anything at the Rapture against the Tracer. And they just stalled, waited for the reinforcements, and came back in with the ults they didn't use. So yeah, very well played from Abercrazy here. Andreas back over to the Echo.
Yeah,
forced off
how
his
well
venture.
They've managed to deal with Andreas here, forcing him to switch back to the Echo, not the favoured hero, but maybe looking to gain a bit more here as Unknown's put so much pressure onto the backline. Sneaky Squid does get the trade out, but they're making sure that the cap doesn't come in for Warwick until they eventually set it free. Fire going down to Andreas, so that switch working for now. They will be able to recontest pretty quickly.
Yeah, another window out here for Ensign, but Warwick Angels have a lot of ults coming up here. Window popped early, but it's not really finding much, but Neo is holding on. He does have the Annihilation on the corner, and Abercrazy just forces stay here. Unless Unknown finds Andreas.
Yeah, the question is, do you want to put in this Annihilation? You feel like you've got control. Both windows now use Tomboxes on high ground to make sure that Ex Nilo doesn't go down, but Unknown's causing chaos in the meantime in the backline. Found 2 in this fight already, and now they're able to build towards the point. The Annihilation could be set in, but no, T90E already finds that kill, and they've already flipped the point as well, so only 50% hit for Warwick. They're going to have to battle back into this one. Unknown doing huge numbers at the moment. Overclock in as well. They're looking to hunt down here, and just about able to get away as Sneaky Squid, but they're isolated, and they've isolated the support backline as well. Unknown just about able to get down Tombox before losing his life. And they're still pushing forwards. Look at the amount of aggression here.
Did talk about their overzealousness, maybe a little overzealous. They split the supports, but they decide to stay in, and Fire and Unknown unfortunately go down, and Warwick are coming back with a lot of ultimates.
Yeah, big man Ex Nilo with that always funny glitch on the Ramatra, but they're trying to push forwards. Sneaky Squid goes down to Unknown though, so only one Sojourn on the board for them, as the second is copied by Andreas, looking to find some pressure. The overclock built in the copy, but again the Shatter comes through and is able to do significant damage to them. Tombox has already gone down to Armada, and is this the last stand of the Warwick Angels as the Annihilation comes out? But what can you do with it? T90E takes down Andreas, and Ex Nilo can only hold block for his dear life. Sneaky Squid trying to do something with the overclock, but is it too little too late? T90 puts the pressure in and can't find the kills. Ensign cleans up as well, and it's the 99% overtime wick burns. It's now in the favor of Abercrazy Raccoon. They got to touch back quickly. Is they going to switch back to try and get back onto this one? Ex-Nino still on the Ramatra. Is someone going to be able to touch? 94%. They're trying to get through. Andreas with the borrow, just about able to survive on this one, but a huge rail onto him as he bursts out from the ground and sent back straight into it. No one else is able to touch. And it's a 2-0 and a clean 3-0 of Suravasa as Abercrazy Raccoon state their claim as one of the top dogs in University Overwatch at the moment.
I mean, yeah, you could just see Warwick could just never find their footing. They tried throwing everything at Abercrazy and nothing stuck. Every ult fight, they just couldn't find anything cleanly. It was either they found nothing or they just traded out. It just, Abercrazy played that incredibly well, just able to isolate these fights, fend off the ultimates, and well, Warwick maybe going out a little sad there.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like they just couldn't withstand the pressure that Abercrazy Raccoon were able to build up in some of those fights. And you could see it overextending into a bit of overpressure that perhaps lost them a couple. But when you're winning so many, you lose a couple because you're getting overconfident. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, and they wanted to make this look dominant pretty much. The fallen kings of Warwick Angels not able to build back in as they would have hoped. They're still sort of on the war path, trying to get back up to the situation that they were in before. But Abercrazy Raccoon showing that they've got a long way to go if they want to be top dogs again.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to say they looked uncomfortable in their Ramatra, but they definitely picked their Ramatra due to the counter comp, I think, not because they're comfortable. They tried thinking, we're going to beat this Ryan, we're going to put the hard pressure on the Ryan, and Abercrazy obviously have a lot of experience in this matchup. They were just able to invite the pressure and then pretty much just go back when they saw the opportunity to.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to a quick break, I believe, and on the other side of it, we will be joined by one of the victorious Abercrazy Raccoon players to bring you a quick interview. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back with us for USS Week 3 of our Spring Split, where we have just seen Abercrazy Raccoon versus Warwick Angels, the 2-0 going in favor of Abercrazy Raccoon, and we are joined by one of their players now. We've got T90 in. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Well, first question for you. You guys lived up to your name a little bit, and you saw, we saw several of the new characters, including one of the ones that's on screen right next to me. Was it your intention to bring these new characters in as soon as they hit the format?
Yeah, so we just said going into it, let's play all the new ones to have fun.
Fair enough, fair enough.
I mean, yeah, you got very silly there at the start of King's Row, and then you did get on the back foot a bit, and then you decided to switch the comp away. Did you decide we need to lock in now, or what was happening there?
Yeah, it wasn't as fun when we were losing, so we stopped doing that.
That makes sense.
We started winning.
That does make sense. So, your hopes this split. Obviously, you've been playing very well so far, but just how far do you think you can go?
Probably a few more. Probably, I don't know the format. Probably make it quite far. I'd say, yeah, good odds.
You have good chances.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on the last map as well of Suravasa, we saw you head in and take it a clean 3-0. Looks like there was a little bit of overconfidence on a couple of those fights. Is that something that you want to rein in, or is that something that you want to let flow free? And even if you're a little bit overconfident, you want that confidence to shine through?
I think it was just sort of miscommunication because Farkan was singing I Show Speed at some point, so we couldn't hear. So it wasn't very good.
Well, congratulations on your win. Before we let you get back to your team for Series 2 of our games today, is there anyone that you would like to shout out?
I would shout out Tartan Boss. He's very cool.
Okay. Well, a rare shout out for Strathclyde here from Abercrazy Raccoon. But we'll be leaving you for a short moment while we get our second set of games set up, and then we'll be back with you with our second series of the day in no time at all. Stay right here with us.